good day, everyone. I am Antonio Shaila Wilshin from the EDUC. Today, I will be discussing several important factors that influence a child's development and the social-cultural dimensions of learning. These factors include A. Parental involvement, B. Parenting style and child rearing, C. Provisions for specific experiences at home, D. Peer influence, and E. Teachers. First one, we have parental involvement. The active participation of parents or caregivers in their child's education, helping with schoolwork, communicating with teachers, attending school activities so that home and school support learning together. First, heightened parental involvement like helping with homework, discussing school, monitoring progress is positively associated with better academic outcomes and greater student engagement. It means that when parents are actively involved in monitoring school activities like asking about assignments, setting study time, and supporting school needs, the child has a higher chance of improving academically. This is because the child feels that education is important to their family. Their motivation increases since they know that they are being guided and supported. Parents' educational involvement influences students' goal orientations, mastery goals, which mediate resilience and adaptability in facing academic challenges. Of course, good communication between parents and teachers is also important. When parents attend PTA meetings, school programs, or even just message the advisor, they are able to guide their child because they know what's happening at school. From the student's perspective, they feel that they are not alone. They have a support system from home to school. For the last one, however, parental involvement is a double edge. Nature, overly intrusive, or poorly timed involvement may cause conflict, reduce autonomy, or erode student motivation. But, take note, not all involvement is helpful. When parents interfere too much, especially with homework, it can sometimes cause stress or conflict. For example, if a parent takes over the child's assignment or gives all the answers, of course, the child loses the chance to think independently. So, instead of helping, it actually becomes a barrier to the development of the child's confidence and independence. In summary, parental involvement is very helpful, but it needs to be balanced. Supportive but not controlling, present but not overbearing. Next, let's proceed to parenting style rather and child rearing. The approach and attitudes that parents use in raising children, how they balance warmth, discipline, rules, and autonomy, which shape children's motivation, behavior, and learning. First, authoritative parenting, warm and structured, tends to foster higher academic engagement, self-efficacy, resilience, and motivation in children. When a parent's parenting style is authoritative, meaning there are a balance between discipline and love, it usually has a more positive effect on the child. The child becomes confident, respects rules, but also knows how to make decisions on their own. According to studies, children raised with this style are more motivated to study and are better at managing their emotions. The effect of parenting style on academic resilience and performance is often mediated by self-efficacy, motivation, and emotional regulation rather than being purely direct. It means that parenting style also affects how a children interacts with other people, especially with their friends. If they are raised in an environment filled with respect and understanding, they tend to develop good social skills. But if the parents are too strict, the child may struggle to open up or have difficulty socializing rather with others. Last, cultural norms shaped with parenting styles look like child rearing practices like discipline, autonomy, collectivism, or individualism differ across societies and the best style in one context may differ in another. Lastly, when both teachers, parents are the same approach, being supportive, providing guidance, and maintaining a good relationship with the child becomes more engaged in learning. In short, parenting style has both a direct and indirect effect on children's behavior and performance in school. And now, let's proceed to provisions for specific experiences at home. The deliberate offering a learning rich experience and resources at home, like books, educational games, conversation, field trips that stimulate cognitive, linguistic, and creative growth. First, a rich home literacy environments like books, storytelling, shared reading, strongly support children's oral language, comprehension, and emergent reading skills. When there are books, puzzle games, or even simple conversation at homes, a child's language, skills, and imagination, reasoning are developed. For example, when parents are often read to their children, their vocabulary expands and their curiosity rather increases. Second, cognitive stimulation via educational games, puzzles, discussions, and scaffolding questions or elaboration contributes to reasoning skills, executive function, and deeper learning. It's not just the resources that matter, but the interaction itself. Last, the quality and alignment of experiences, how parents guide, scaffold, connect to children's interests, matter often more than sheer quantity of materials or activities. It is also important to remember that learning doesn't depend on the number of materials of activity, but on their quality. Sometimes even with just a few materials, as long as the interaction is meaningful and the parents are supportive, the child can learn a lot. To sum it up, the home is not just a place to rest. It can also be a learning environment when the right support and experiences are provided. Next, let's proceed to peer influence. The effect that classmates, friends, and the same age groups have on a child's attitudes, behavior, norms, and engagement with learning, either positively, encouragement and collaboration, or negatively, like peer pressure and disengagement. First, positive peer relationships and academic norms increase students' learning motivation, engagement, and eventually academic achievement via social support and modeling. When the peer group is positive, such as being hardworking, goal-oriented, and supportive, the student is influenced to do the same. They develop motivation and a sense of belonging which helps them perform better in their studies. Second, peer influence can also work via attention and social cues. In blended or online learning, peer visual attention cues encourage students' focus and better learning outcomes. However, there's also a negative side to this. When a group of friends isn't serious about studying, often plays around or doesn't follow the rules, a student may be influenced to do the same. Because of peer pressure, academics can sometimes be neglected. However, if peer group norms devalue effort or promote disengagement, they can undermine school motivation and academic persistence. Also, if student is surrounded by smart friends, they can be encouraged to do their best as well. In short, peers can be either a positive or negative influence. It depends on the group's behavior and how the child responds to it. And for the last one, teachers. Educators who guide, scaffold, model, and shape classroom norms and relationships. They mediate students' access to knowledge, provide feedback, and influence motivation and academic success. First, according to Vygotsky's Socio-Cultural theory, teachers function as more knowledgeable others. They scaffold tasks within students' zone of proximal development and immediate cultural tools like language or norms. When the teacher is supportive, approachable, and encouraging, of course, the student becomes more motivated. Even when they find things difficult, they still try their best because they know someone believes in them. Second, positive teacher-student relationships like trust, support, and respect foster belonging, reduce burnout, raise motivation and engagement, which in turn improve learning outcomes. It means that teachers also serve as guides. They provide scaffolding or step-by-step support to help students understand difficult concepts. This is based on Vygotsky theory, where the teacher is discovered the more knowledgeable other. For the last one, teachers influence classroom climate, peer interactions, and normative culture. Their instructional quality, feedback, differentiation, and responsiveness can either mitigate or amplify disparities from students' home environments. Always remember that if the teacher and parents all have a good relationship, the child support system becomes more effective. Overall, the teacher is not just an instructor, but also a role model, a guide, and a source of emotional support for students. While doing this research, I realized that many factors influence a child's development and learning. It's not only what we learn at school, but also the people around us like family, friends, teachers who play a big role. I noticed that balance is very important. For example, in parental involvement, parents need to be supportive but not too controlling to avoid stressing the child. The same goes for parenting styles and the role of teachers, as each has their own way of helping us grow and learn. It's empowering to think that even simple things like storytelling at home or support from a teacher can greatly impact our development. As a student, I want to be open to these opportunities and make the most of the support I have to improve myself. And overall, I understand that it takes teamwork, family, school, and friends to help us succeed in both learning and in life. So, thank you for listening. I hope you learned something valuable today.